Okay, so we're getting close to the end of today's trading day, and it's the day after Skybank shares were taken off the Nigerian Stock Exchange, placed on freeze, or what you called suspension by the Nigerian Stock Exchange, after the Central Bank of Nigeria over the weekend revoked the commercial bank's operational license and was handed over to NDIC. AMCON, as a bridge bank, then we're going to have what you call Polaris Bank. So let's get a sense of what we are getting through from the stock exchange. Let's get through to Temple Ashaju, our business correspondent, live at the Nigerian Stock Exchange trading floor. Temple, it's good to see you this afternoon. We're getting close to the end of the trading day, so just about 40 minutes or thereabouts to the end of the day. How much of the Skybank's Skyfall story is still generating attention right now, or talk on the floor as we speak?
Okay, great to have you to Boston. Well, for traders, the past is gone. It's no longer relevant in the market. Again, you know, a lot of traders and investors are in the know of what's going on Skybank way before now. You know, since 2016, July 2016 precisely, when the regulators intervened in the performance of the company and the running of its financial services to the public. Investors have been really wary. I mean, I spoke earlier to one trader who told me that for the past about 2 years now, he hasn't even traded a single share of Skybank, not for himself, not for any of his clients, and that's simply because that is one company that was really, really weak, that had no fundamentals, that had no its earnings made available to investors or for the investing community. So for that reason, there wasn't so much in it, except for the speculative investors. And on the floor here, interacting with some of the brokers, none of them has been able to tell me that he or she was responsible for part of the over 2 million units that was traded on Friday. But of course, you know that the market also engages in a bit of remote trading, so perhaps that level of investment on Friday, which is now a loss to that investor or to some of those investors, you know, could have also taken place remotely. But given what we have right now in the market, earlier when we came on board, when the market resumed, we saw a bit of traction. We saw the index gaining some, making some marginal gains. But as we speak, we're seeing marginal losses by 0.13% a few minutes ago, just before we went on break for this program. And responsible for these, it's just the industrial goods sector, the banking sector, and of course the consumer goods sectors. We've got losses in Union Bank. Union Bank currently down by 9.48%. Up until Friday, that's a stock that did some 16% week-on-week gains, because it was already trading some 34% below its year-to-date performance. It used to trade around 8 naira 78 kobo. But as at this morning, we saw a bit of profit taking on Union Bank, and that's also currently responsible for some of the losses we are seeing in the key benchmark indices. You also got Okomo Oil doing some 8.96% losses. Zenith Bank is also down. You got GT Bank, which was also one of the major stocks that was doing well at the wake of trading this morning, currently down by some percentage. I really can't place the number right now. In terms of the consumer goods sector, you got the Nigerian breweries losing 3 naira, and that represents some 3.23% in terms of percentage points. You got the losses now down, bringing down the stock to 90 naira per share. Activity in terms of volume and value in the market is currently negative. As when the market opened, it was a bit positive, but right now it is deeping. It's not looking good anymore. For the top trade that we have in the market, UBA in the banking sector is doing well with some 7 million units of shares traded so far, after it has gained some 1 naira, some 1.24% in its share price. And the level of trade we're seeing on that counter right now represents about 20% of the entire transaction we've seen so far in the markets, Bosun.
Tempo, of course, the market is moving a bit in a negative territory, but right now, as you have pointed out, it doesn't look like this is any Skybank Skye Bank effect, as it were, we can pin that right now or to that regulatory action. So it looks like, yes, the market is moving on, and like you said, no one is shedding any tear in particular, at least for now, not on the floor for Skye Bank, Skyfall.
None, Bosin, none. The only thing that investors are really interested in is more of regulatory collaboration on this matter. You might have collaboration between the central bank and, of course, the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation as to intervention and banks, especially financial services companies that have issues like Skye Bank had. But when it comes to regulators in the stock market, it looks like it is only the Nigerian Stock Exchange that investors, that the regulators, the central bank and the NDIC gets to relate with. Like one of our brokers said earlier on our sister show, Fakaija precisely, mentioned as well that we should see more of relationship between the SEC, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the CBN on matters like this. But the argument against this position that traders have also given is that, look, for the markets are globally are driven by information. Once you hear about a particular company underperforming below its a year high or its standards or in terms of operation, it tells you as an investor to be very cautious in investing in such a company. And that gives a room for investor, whether it's primary market investor or secondary market investor, to be able to trade cautiously on that company. If you really dogged about trading on it, given the level of intervention that the CBN came on board in 2016, then you've got to be very speculative. And if you're very speculative, your risk is on the high side. So if you put money on ground just on Friday or before Friday, and that investment gets eroded by this regulation coming in from the CBN, your fingers burnt, yes, but I mean, that's your cake. You probably have gotten some gain before now, but with this kind of regulation, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to say. You've got a lot to lose, but there's nothing you can do.
Yes.
However, it's gotta say.
Yes, I know. I know Tempo is a little bit tricky there. Investors losing money, getting at the last minute, the door or the window closes in on you. Not as easy as sound as it is if you have your thousands, very difficult, hard times, whatever money folks have in there, they're not sure of any clarity yet if they're getting any piece of money back, even when new investors are found to come into Polaris Bank. That could take months, that could take years. No one knows when the breach bank will become another situation when new investors will probably what you call a blue ocean. So it's a little bit of very uncertain future here for investors, in particular the retail investors who are holding some pieces of paper right now. Some of the shares are dematerialized in the CSCS. They don't know what they're going to do moving forward. But it's still early days yet. We'll have more clarity in the days ahead. Thank you very much, Tempo, for watching our back there at the trading floor of the NSE. Temple Ashaju, Channels Television Business Correspondent. I think that's about all we have for today. Let's leave it there. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time. Have a great day.